Hi, good evening. Welcome to another reading of 1001 Nights. My name is Saman and I'll be your host this evening. Love this song. That's our main musician, Kamyab Sadiri, performing with Bijan during our last special reading, and I'm very much looking forward to the next special reading. So tonight's stories are several short ones, 99% of them about sex and women, and one I won't even tell you. Alright, let's start. How about that? Ta-da! Okay. Well, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening. We are live from Vienna in Austria, where we are again in lockdown and again extended. So, yeah. So much about that. Other than that, we're doing really great. I hope you enjoy the reading. Now, when it was the 387th night, she said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, then that when Isa this wise reported of Ayishah bint Talhah, Musab married her and went in to her. And presently Isa invited Ayishah and the women of the tribe Quraysh to her house, when Ayishah sang these two couplets with Musab standing by. And the lips of girls that are perfume sweet, so nice to kiss when with smiles they greet, yet never tasted I them but in thought of him, and by thought the ruler rules worldly seat. The night of Musab's going in unto her, he departed not from her till after 7 bouts. And on the morrow a freed woman of his met him and said to him, May I be thy sacrifice? Thou art perfect even in this. And a certain woman said, I was with Ayishah when her husband came in to her, and she lusted for him. So he fell upon her, and she snarked and snorted, and made use of all manner of wondrous movements and marvellous new inventions, and I the while within hearing. So when he came out from her, I said to her, How canst thou do thus with thy rank and nobility and condition, and I in thy house? Quoth she, Verily a woman should bring her husband all of which she is mistress, by way of excitement, and rare buckings, and wrigglings and mortitations. What dislikest thou of this? And I answered, I would have this by nights. Rejoined she, Thus is it by day, and by night I do more than this, for when he seeth me, desire stirreth him up, and he falleth in heat. So he putteth it out to me, and I obey him, and it is as thou seest. Oh well, why not? And there also hath reached me an account of Abu Al-Aswad and his slave girl. Abu Al-Aswad bought a native-born slave girl who was blind of an eye, and she pleased him. But his people decried her to him, whereat he wondered, and turning the palms of his hands upwards, recited these two couplets. They find me fault with her, where I default never find, save haply that a speck in either eye may show. But if her eyes have fault, or fault her from have none, slim built above the waist and heavily made below. And this is also told of Harun al-Rashid and the two slave girls. The Caliph Harun al-Rashid lay one night between two slave girls, one from Al-Medina and the other from Kufa. And the Kufid rubbed his hands while the Medinite rubbed his feet and made his concern stand up. Quoth the Kufid, I see thou wouldst keep the whole of the stock in trade to thyself. Give me my share of it. And the other answered, I have been told by Malik, on the authority of Hisham ibn Urwa, who had it of his grandfather, that the Prophet said, Whoso quickeneth the dead belongeth to him and is his. But the Kufid took her unawares, and pushing her away, seized it all in her own hand, and said, Al-Amash telleth us, on the authority of Saman, who had it of Abdallah bin Masud, that the Prophet declared, Gain belongeth to him who taketh it, not to him who raiseth it. And this is also related of the Caliph Harun al-Rashid and the three slave girls. The Caliph Harun al-Rashid once slept with three slave girls, a Meccan, a Medinite, and an Iraqite. The Medina girl put her hand to his yard and handled it, whereupon it rose, and the Meccan sprang up and drew it to herself. Quoth the other, What is this unjust aggression? A tradition was related to me by Malik after Al-Zubayr, after Abdullah ibn Salim, after Sa'id bin Zayd, that the Apostle of Allah, whom Allah bless and keep, said, Whoso quickeneth a dead land, it is his. And the Meccan answered, It is related to us by Sufyan, from Abu Zanad, from Al-Araj, from Abu Hurairah, that the Apostle of Allah said, The quarry is his who catcheth it, not his who starteth it. But the Iraq girl pushed them both away, and taking it to herself said, This is mine, till your contention be decided. And they tell a tale of the miller and his wife. There was a miller who had an ass to turn his mill, and he was married to a wicked wife whom he loved, while she hated him because she was sweet upon a neighbour who misliked her and held aloof from her. One night, the miller saw in his sleep one who said to him, Dig in such a spot of the ass round in the mill, and thou shalt find a hoard. When he awoke, he told his wife the vision and bade her keep the secret, but she told her neighbour. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Now when it was the 388th night, she said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the miller's wife told the secret to the neighbour whom she loved, thinking to win his favour. And he agreed with her to come to her by night. So he came, and they dug in the mill and found the treasure and took it forth. Then he asked her, How shall we do with this? And she answered, We will divide it in 2 halves, and will share it equally between us. And do thou leave thy wife, and I will cast about to rid me of my husband. Then shalt thou marry me, and when we are conjoined, we will join the two halves of the treasure one to other, and all will be in our hands. Quoth he, I fear lest Satan seduce thee, and thou take some man other than myself, for gold in the house is like the sun and the world. I reck, therefore, it were right that the money be all in my hands. So thou give thy whole mind to getting free of thy husband and coming to me. Quoth she, I fear even as thou fearest, nor will I yield up my part to thee, for it was I directed thee to it. When he heard this, greed of gain prompted him to kill her. So he slew her and threw her body into the empty hoard hall. But day overtook him and hindered him from covering it up. He therefore took the money and went his way. Now after a while the miller awoke, and missing his wife, went into the mill, where he fastened the ass to the beam and shouted to it. It went on a little, then stopped, whereupon he beat it grievously. But the more he bashed it, the more it drew back, for it was affrighted at the dead woman and could not go forward. Thereupon the miller, unknowing what hindered the donkey, took out a knife and goaded it again and again, but still it would not budge. Then he was wroth with him, knowing not the cause of its obstinacy, and drove the knife into its flanks, and it fell down dead. But when the sun rose, he saw this donkey lying dead, and likewise his wife, in the place of the treasure. And great was his rage and sore his wrath, for the loss of his hoard and the death of his wife and his ass. All this came of his letting his wife into his secret and not keeping it to himself. It happens, I guess. And I have heard this tale of the Simpleton and the Sharper. A certain simpleton was once walking along, hailing his ass after him by the halter, when a pair of sharpers saw him, and one said to his fellow, I will take that ass from yonder way. Asked the other, How wilt thou do that? Follow me, and I will show thee how, answered the first. So the coney catcher went up to the ass, and, loosing it from the halter, gave the beast to his fellow. Then he haltered his own head, and followed Tom Fool till he knew the other had got clean off with the ass, when he stood still. The oaf hailed at the halter, but the rascal stirred not. So he turned, and seeing the halter on a man's neck, said to him, What art thou? Quoth the Sharper, I am thine ass, and my story is a wondrous one, and 'tis this. Know that I have a pious old mother, and came into her one day drunk. And she said to me, O my son, repent to the Almighty of these thy transgressions. But I took my staff and beat her, whereupon she cursed me, and Allah changed me into an ass, and caused me fall into thy hands, where I have remained till this moment. However, today my mother called me to mind, and her heart yearned towards me. So she prayed for me, and the Lord restored me to my former shape amongst the sons of Adam. cried the silly one. There is no majesty and there is no might save in Allah, the glorious, the great. Allah upon thee, O my brother, acquit me of what I have done with thee in the way of riding and so forth. Then he let the coney catcher go and returned home, drunken with chagrin and concern as with wine. His wife asked him, What aileth thee, and where is the donkey? And he answered, Thou knowest not what was this ass, but I will tell thee. So he told her the story, and she exclaimed, Alack and alas for the punishment we shall receive from Almighty Allah. How could we have used a man as a beast of burden all this while? And she gave alms by way of atonement and prayed pardon of heaven. Then the man abode a while at home, idle and feckless, till she said to him, How long wilt thou sit at home doing naught? Go to the market and buy us an ass and ply thy work with it. Accordingly, he went to the market and stopped by the ass stand, where behold, he saw his own ass for sale. So he went up to it and clapping his mouth to its ear said to it, Woe to thee, thou never do well. Doubtless thou hast been getting drunk again and beating thy mother. But by Allah, I will never buy thee more. And he left it and went away. And they tell a tale concerning the Qazi Abu Yusuf with Harun Al-Rashid and Queen Zubaydah. The Caliph Harun Al-Rashid went up one noontide to his couch to lie down, and mounting, found upon the bedclothes semen freshly emitted, whereat he was startled and troubled with sore trouble. So he called the lady Zubaydah and said to her, What is that spilt on the bed? She looked at it and replied, O Commander of the Faithful, it is semen. Quoth he, Tell me truly what this meaneth, or I will lay violent hands on thee forthright. Quoth she, By Allah, O Commander of the Faithful, indeed I know not how it came there, and I am guiltless of that whereof thou suspectest me. So he sent for the Qazi, Abu Yusuf, and acquainted him of the case. The judge raised his eyes to the ceiling, and seeing a crack therein, said to the Caliph, O Commander of the Faithful, in very sooth the bat hath seed like that of a man, and this is bat's semen. Then he called for a spear and thrust it into the crevice, whereupon down fell the bat. In this manner the Caliph's suspicions were dispelled. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. Those were funny stories. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a short but good one. I might see you back on Friday, and tune in tomorrow. Joanna will continue. Sending you much love from Vienna. Thanks for the likes. And much strength and hope. And as usual, remember to go inwards instead of outwards. See you soon.